Captain David Miller stood at the window of Earth Defense Command's main control room, his coffee growing cold in his hand. The Nevada desert stretched endlessly before him, but his eyes were fixed on the strange lights moving across the evening sky. The Galactic Alliance ships were leaving, all of them, breaking orbit in a steady stream of blue-white engine flares. He couldn't believe what he had just heard in the emergency meeting. After 15 years of partnership, the Alliance was abandoning Earth. Captain Miller, a young operator's voice broke through his thoughts. "Sir, you need to see this." David turned from the window and walked quickly to the main display. The massive screen showed hundreds of red dots appearing at the edge of the solar system. Each dot represented a Nexar warship. "How many?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fear building in his chest. "Over 300 ships, sir. The biggest fleet we've ever seen." The operator's hand shook as she zoomed in on the readings. "They'll reach Earth in 30 days. David placed his coffee cup down and straightened his uniform. Around him, the control room buzzed with frightened whispers and hurried movements. The Alliance hadn't just abandoned them. They'd left Earth defenseless against the biggest invasion force in human history. "Get me General Roberts," he ordered, "and send an alert to all Earth defense stations. Priority level 1. While he waited for the general to answer, David watched the Alliance ships vanishing one by one into hyperspace. For 15 years, they had guided humanity, shared their technology, and helped defend Earth. But they had also held humanity back, limiting their weapons development and controlling their military growth. The general's face appeared on the screen, tired and angry. "Miller, tell me you have good news." "No, sir. The Nexar fleet is bigger than we expected. But I have an idea." David pulled up the classified files he'd been reviewing. "Remember Project Bladadancer?" The general's eyes widened. "The combat suits the Alliance wouldn't let us develop. They said our approach was too aggressive." "Yes, sir. We kept the research going in secret. Dr. Linda Foster has a working prototype. If we move now, we might have 200 suits ready before the Nexar arrive." General Roberts was quiet for a moment, thinking. The Alliance had always claimed the neural interfaces in the Bladadancer suits were too dangerous, too unstable for proper use. But they had never explained why. "Do it," the general finally said. "The Alliance isn't here to stop us anymore. Get Foster everything she needs." David nodded and ended the call. He turned to address the control room, his voice carrying across the nervous silence. "Listen up. The Alliance may have left us, but we're not helpless. Humanity survived for thousands of years before they arrived, and we'll survive this too. Each of you has a job to do. The Nexar think we're weak without our allies. Let's show them how wrong they are." The room burst into action. Alerts went out across the globe, calling soldiers, scientists, and engineers to their posts. In orbit, Earth's own ships, smaller and fewer than the Alliance vessels, but still powerful, began moving into defensive positions. David looked one last time at the desert outside. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Somewhere out there, the Nexar fleet was coming, thinking they would find an easy target. But humanity had something the Alliance had never understood: the ability to face impossible odds and find a way to win. He picked up his phone and called Dr. Foster. "Linda, it's David. Remember how you said the Bladadancer suits needed volunteers for testing? Well, now we need 200, and we need them ready in less than 30 days. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then Linda's voice came back, strong and determined. "Finally, let me show you what these suits can really do." The abandoned defenders of Earth were about to prove that humanity's greatest strength had always been within themselves. They didn't need the Alliance's protection. They just needed the freedom to fight their own way. Dr. Linda Foster's underground lab hummed with energy as she led Captain David Miller past rows of gleaming black suits. Each Bladadancer unit stood 9 feet tall, their surfaces catching the harsh fluorescent lights. 28 days remained until the Nexar fleet's arrival. We kept them hidden here, Linda explained, touching one suit's metallic chest plate. The Alliance would have shut us down if they knew how far we'd gotten. David walked closer to examine a suit. Unlike the bulky armor the Alliance had given them, these suits were sleek and deadly looking. How do they work? Linda pulled up a display screen showing the human nervous system. The neural link is the key. The suit doesn't just protect the pilot, it becomes part of them. Every movement, every thought translates into instant action. The Alliance said human minds couldn't handle that kind of connection, David remembered. Linda smiled. They were wrong. Actually, they lied. Human brains are perfect for this technology. We adapt faster, think more creatively. That's why they wanted to stop us. The first volunteers arrived that afternoon. 200 men and women from Earth's military forces filed into the massive training room. They stood in neat rows, faces determined, as Linda explained what they were about to attempt. The suits will feel strange at first, she told them. Like having extra limbs, extra strength. Your mind needs to learn how to use it all. John Baker, a young Marine, was the first to try. He stepped into the suit's open frame, and Linda activated the neural link. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the suit's eyes lit up bright blue, and John took his first steps. "This is amazing," he gasped. The suit moved smoothly, perfectly matching his movements. He lifted a hand, watching as the suit's massive fingers opened and closed. It feels natural. But not everyone adapted so easily. Some volunteers struggled with the neural connection. Others couldn't handle a flood of sensory information. By the end of the first day, 50 candidates had dropped out. "We need all 200 suits filled," David worried, watching another failed attempt. "We'll get there," Linda assured him. "Look." On the training floor, Sarah Wilson, an Air Force pilot, was testing her suit's flight capabilities. The suit's back opened, revealing hidden thrusters, and she soared across the room with perfect control. Others were learning too, each finding their own way to work with the technology. The next few days passed in a blur of training and adjustments. Linda worked constantly, fine-tuning each suit to its pilot. The volunteers who remained grew stronger, more confident. They learned to fight, to fly, to use weapons the Alliance had never imagined. The neural link does more than just control the suit, Linda explained to David as they watched the training. It learns from the pilot. Each suit becomes unique, adapted to how its pilot thinks and moves. 1 week into training, they had their first breakthrough. During a combat exercise, John Baker's suit suddenly moved faster than their sensors could track. He took down 3 training drones before anyone realized what had happened. "How did you do that?" Linda asked excitedly. John shook his head, surprised. "I just reacted. The suit knew what I wanted before I did." David watched as more pilots achieved similar results. The suits weren't just tools. They were becoming extensions of human will and creativity. Everything the Alliance had feared was coming true. "We're ready for a full combat test," Linda announced on day 10. The remaining 180 pilots stood ready in their suits, each one now moving with confidence and skill. David looked at the assembled force, humanity's secret weapon, born from determination and necessity. The Nexer would expect to find a weakened Earth, abandoned by its allies. Instead, they would face something entirely new, humans fighting their own way, with technology that embraced their strongest traits instead of limiting them. "Begin the combat trials," he ordered. As the pilots moved into position, their suits gleaming under the lights, David allowed himself to feel hope for the first time since the Alliance left. They had just over 2 weeks until the enemy arrived, but now they had a real chance to survive. Commander Rachel Hayes watched through her Blade Dancer suit's enhanced vision as the first Nexer ships appeared near Jupiter's orbit. The enemy vessels looked like dark spears against the gas giant's swirling clouds. Her squad of 20 pilots floated silently in space, waiting for her command. "Remember your training," she said over the secure channel. We're smaller than their ships, but we're faster. They won't expect us to fight like this. The Nexar advance force consisted of 30 warships. They moved confidently, clearly expecting no resistance this far out in the solar system. The Alliance had always handled outer system defense, and now they were gone. Squad 2, report, Rachel called. In position behind Europa, John Baker responded. His team of blood-dancers had hidden themselves in the moon's shadow. They haven't spotted us yet. Rachel checked her suit's readings. The neural link hummed in her mind, making the massive battle suit feel as natural as her own body. All squads, weapons hot. Remember, hit fast, hit hard, and don't stay still. The Nexar ships drew closer. Rachel could see their weapons powering up, preparing to clear any resistance around Jupiter before the main fleet arrived. They had no idea they were about to face humanity's new defenders. Now, Rachel commanded. 20 Bladadancer suits burst from their hiding spots near Jupiter's smallest moons. Rachel led the charge, her suit's thrusters pushing her to speeds that would have killed an unprotected human. The neural link compensated automatically, letting her mind process the incredible movement. The Nexar ships opened fire, but the Bladaдаncers moved too quickly and unpredictably. Rachel's squad split into pairs, each duo attacking with moves that looked more like a deadly dance than traditional space combat. "They can't track us," Sarah Wilson shouted excitedly as she and her partner sliced through a Nexar ship's engines with their energy blades. "The suits are too fast." Rachel dove through a storm of enemy fire, her suit responding to her thoughts faster than she could form them. She remembered Linda's words during training. "The suits learn from you. Trust your instincts." John Baker's team struck from behind Europa, catching 5 Nexar ships in a crossfire. The Bladadencers moved in perfect coordination, their neural links allowing them to react to each other's movements instantly. "Their shields are strongest at the front," Rachel observed as she disabled another ship. "Target their rear quarters. They're not used to enemies getting this close." The battle shifted as the Nexar commanders realized their danger. The alien ships tried to form a defensive circle, but the Bladadencers were already among them. Rachel's suit spun between 2 enemy vessels, her energy blades leaving both dead in space. "Watch out," John called. "They're calling for reinforcements." Rachel checked her tactical display. 10 more Nexar ships were approaching rapidly. "Perfect," she said. "Let's show them what else these suits can do." She sent the signal, and all 20 Bladadencers activated their suit's special capability, the one that had made the Alliance so nervous. Their neural links synchronized, allowing them to fight as one unit while keeping their individual creativity and instincts. The reinforcement ships arrived to find their advance force in ruins. Before they could react, 20 Bladadencers struck from all directions at once, moving in patterns no computer could predict because they came straight from human minds working in perfect harmony. The battle ended in minutes. 40 disabled Nexar ships drifted in Jupiter's orbit, their crews trapped but alive. Not a single Bladadancer was lost. Rachel opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. "Captain Miller, the test is complete." The Bladadencers exceeded all expectations. The Nexar had no defense against our tactics. In Nevada, David Miller and Linda Foster watched the battle data with growing hope. The neural link performance was perfect, Linda said, studying the readings. "And did you see how they moved? No eye or traditional pilot could have fought like that." David nodded. "Tell all Bladadancer squads to prepare for full deployment. When the main Nexar fleet arrives, we'll be ready." He looked at the battle footage again, watching the suits dance between enemy ships. The Alliance was right to be afraid, but they feared the wrong side. Colonel Stephen Wright sat in the war room of Earth Defense Command, surrounded by holographic displays showing the positions of both friendly and enemy forces. After the successful battle at Jupiter, he had been working non-stop to develop new strategies for the coming war. "Play back the Jupiter battle footage again," he ordered. The air filled with images of Bladadancer suits dancing through space, taking down ships many times their size. Something about their movement pattern caught his eye. "Stop there," he said. "Look at how they move. It's not just random dodging. They're flowing like water around the enemy fire. No eye could fight like that. That's pure human instinct." A junior officer brought him a data pad with a decoded message. Stephen read it and smiled. Well, well. Looks like our old friends in the Alliance are watching us closely. The message revealed something important. The Alliance hadn't left because they thought humanity was weak. They had left because they were scared of what humans might become. "Get me Dr. Foster," Stephen called out. Minutes later, Linda's face appeared on his screen. "Colonel Wright, what can I help you with?" "Doctor, I need to know everything about how humans use the bladder suits differently from what the Alliance expected." Linda pulled up her research data. "It's fascinating, actually. The Alliance designed their combat systems to be logical and efficient. But humans, we're creative. We take risks. We do things that don't make sense on paper, but work in practice." Stephen nodded. "That's what I thought. And when we link multiple suits together, the effect multiplies," Linda finished. "Each pilot adds their own style, their own instincts. It creates patterns no enemy can predict." Over the next few days, Stephen worked with the bladder dancer teams to develop new fighting techniques. He combined traditional military units with the suit squadrons, creating strategies that had never been tried before. "The regular ships provide cover fire here," he explained to a group of commanders, pointing at a tactical display. "While the bladed dancers slip through these gaps, the enemy won't know where to focus their defense." Commander Rachel Hayes, fresh from her victory at Jupiter, added her own insights. "The suits can also protect the larger ships. We're small enough to intercept incoming fire, and fast enough to do it effectively." The training exercises proved their ideas worked. Regular Earth ships learned to work alongside the bladder dancer units, each supporting the other's strengths. Stephen watched with pride as human creativity and adaptability transformed their fighting style. "We've got something new here," he told David Miller during an evening briefing. "The Alliance taught us to fight their way. Logical, predictable, by the book. But human instinct combined with this technology. That's something else entirely." David agreed. "The Nexer are used to fighting Alliance tactics. They won't be ready for this." A week before the main Nexer fleet was due to arrive, Stephen called all Earth's defenders together for a final briefing. The room was packed with both regular troops and bladder dancer pilots. "The enemy thinks they know what to expect," he told them. "They think we're weak without the Alliance. But we're not fighting like the Alliance anymore. We're fighting like humans." He showed them the battle plans he had developed. Traditional ships would form the backbone of their defense, while bladder dancer squads would strike from unexpected angles. Earth's ground forces would stand ready, supported by atmospheric bladder dancer units. Every human quality the Alliance tried to suppress, our creativity, our willingness to take risks, our ability to think outside the box, those are now our greatest weapons, Stephen concluded. As the briefing ended, he looked at the determined faces around him. The Alliance had spent years telling humanity how to fight, how to think, how to defend themselves. Now, freed from those restrictions, Earth's defenders were about to show the galaxy what humans could really do. "One more thing," he added with a slight smile. "The Alliance is watching us. So let's give them a show they'll never forget." Master Sergeant Amy Chen watched from her command post as the massive Nexer fleet darkened Earth's skies. Through her binoculars, she could see thousands of enemy ships entering orbit, their weapons already glowing with deadly energy. "Ground teams, report in," she ordered through her comm system. Around the world, bladder dancer units waited in hidden bunkers, ready to defend Earth's surface. "Team Alpha, ready. Team Bravo, in position. Team Charlie, waiting for orders." The first Nexer dropships began descending through the atmosphere. Amy smiled grimly. The enemy clearly expected to find helpless ground forces, using the same old Alliance defense tactics. They were in for a surprise. "All teams, execute Plan Thunder," she commanded. Across the globe, Bladadancer suits burst from underground bases, moving faster than any ground vehicle. In New York, John Baker led his team in protecting civilians. In Moscow, Sarah Wilson's squad defended key military installations. And in Tokyo, another team guarded the evacuation routes. Amy watched the tactical display as hundreds of Nexer landing craft touched down. Here they come. Remember your training. Don't let them establish a foothold. The alien forces poured out of their ships, armed with weapons that had terrified other worlds. But they had never faced humans in Bladadancer suits before. They're trying to set up heavy weapons, a soldier reported from London. Take them out, Amy ordered. Use the buildings for cover. The suits can handle urban combat better than their troops can. She watched through surveillance feeds as Bladadancer units moved through city streets like deadly shadows. The suits could jump between buildings, run up walls, and strike from impossible angles. Nexer troops, used to fighting in open spaces, found themselves confused and surrounded. In orbit, Rachel Hayes led the space battle, her squadrons working perfectly with Earth's regular ships. The Bladadancers darted between enemy vessels, causing chaos in their formations. Ground Team Echo, we've got dropships heading for your position. Rachel called from space. Copy that. Amy responded. She activated her own Bladadancer suit, the neural link coming to life. I'll handle this personally. Her suit moved like liquid metal as she ran to intercept the incoming ships. Two other Bladadancers joined her, and together they launched themselves into the air. The dropship's pilots never expected an attack from below. The Nexer are pulling back in sectors 3 and 4, someone reported. They're losing too many troops to the Bladadancer ambushes. Amy landed her suit on a rooftop, watching as enemy forces retreated in confusion. Their weapons were powerful, but they couldn't hit what they couldn't predict. And nothing was less predictable than a human mind controlling a Bladadancer suit. All teams, press the advantage, she ordered. Don't let them regroup. Above, the space battle reached a crucial point. Rachel's squads had broken through the Nexer fleet's defensive lines, splitting their forces. Earth's ships moved in, their weapons finally proving their worth against the surprised enemy. Amy, you need to see this, David Miller's voice came through her comm. The Alliance, they're watching. We're picking up their ships just outside the solar system. She smiled inside her suit. Let them watch. They'll see what humanity can really do when we fight our own way. The battle continued through the day and into the night. Everywhere, the story was the same. Nexer forces, despite their superior numbers and technology, found themselves outmaneuvered and overwhelmed by the combination of human ingenuity and Bladadancer technology. By sunrise, the first waves of enemy troops had been defeated. The Nexer fleet in orbit was in disarray, caught between Rachel's Bladadancers and Earth's determined ships. Amy stood on a hill outside her command post, her suit gleaming in the morning light. Below, she could see enemy dropships taking off, retreating with their surviving forces. All teams, situation report, she called. One by one, the responses came in. Casualties were minimal. The Bladadancer suits had proven themselves beyond all expectations. Earth's cities, though damaged, still stood. Send word to command, she ordered. The ground war is ours. Humanity holds its ground. In the distance, she could see more Nexer ships retreating from orbit. Their expected easy victory turned into a humiliating defeat. And somewhere out there, the Alliance watched, finally understanding what they had feared all along. Not that humanity would fail, but that they would succeed too well. Captain David Miller stood on the bridge of Earth's newest warship, the ENS Defiant. Through the view screen, he watched as hundreds of Bladadancer suits gathered around the ship, their armor gleaming in the starlight. The time had come to take the fight to the enemy. All systems ready, Linda Foster reported from her station. She had modified the ship's systems to work with the Bladadancer suits, creating something entirely new. The neural network is stable. David touched his command console. This is Captain Miller to all Bladadancer squadrons. Begin Operation Thunderstrike. Rachel Hayes led the first wave, her squad moving in perfect formation. Behind the Bladadencers, Earth's fleet emerged from its hiding place behind Mars. The Nexer command ship waited ahead, surrounded by its remaining fleet. They're charging weapons, Linda warned. But look, their formation is defensive. They're scared. David smiled. Just 3 weeks ago, the Nexer had arrived expecting an easy victory. Now they were the ones trying to survive. All units, execute attack pattern Delta. The Bladadancer suits split into 3 groups. Rachel's team shot straight toward the enemy fleet like arrows. John Baker's squad circled wide to the right, while Sarah Wilson took her pilot's left. Remember, David broadcast to all units, we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're showing the galaxy what humanity can do. The Nexer ships opened fire, filling space with energy beams and plasma torpedoes. But the Bladadencers moved like dancers through the storm of weapons, impossibly fast and smooth. Each pilot's neural link let them react before conscious thought, making them nearly impossible to hit. Enemy ships breaking formation, Linda reported excitedly. They can't maintain their defensive line. Rachel's voice came over the comm. This is even easier than Jupiter. They still haven't figured out how to track us. David watched as the Bladadencers tore into the enemy fleet. The suit's energy blades cut through ship armor like paper. Some pilots used their suits' special abilities in ways the designers never imagined, creating energy shields, combining their attacks, moving in patterns that defied physics. Sir, Linda called out, I'm detecting new energy readings from the Nexer command ship. They're trying something big. The massive enemy vessel's hull began to glow with strange lights. David recognized the pattern from Alliance records, a weapon designed to disrupt neural networks. All Bladadancer units, fall back, he ordered. But Rachel's voice cut in. No, we can handle this. Linda's upgrades work better than the Alliance's tech. Trust us. David hesitated for a moment, then nodded. All units, continue the attack. Show them what Earth's finest can do. The Nexer weapon fired, sending waves of energy across the battlefield. For a moment, every screen on the Defiant went dark. When they came back online, David held his breath. The Bladadancer suits hadn't just survived. They were moving faster than ever. The neural links had adapted, grown stronger. Linda laughed in triumph. The Nexer just made a big mistake, she said. That energy pulse actually improved our neural connections. The suits are performing at 130% efficiency. David watched in amazement as Rachel led a direct assault on the Nexer command ship. The Bladadencers moved as one, their attacks perfectly coordinated. The enemy's greatest weapon had only made them stronger. All Earth ships, advance, David ordered. The Bladadencers have given us our opening. The ENS Defiant led the charge, its weapons joining the assault. The Nexer command ship, its secret weapon useless, found itself surrounded by opponents it couldn't predict or counter. Their shields are failing, Linda reported. Rachel's team has breached their hull. Inside his command chair, David felt pride swell in his chest. Humanity hadn't just survived the Nexer invasion. They had turned it into their moment of triumph. The Alliance's abandonment had forced them to find their own strength, to prove they didn't need anyone's protection. Sir, Linda said softly, we're picking up Alliance signals again. More of their ships are arriving to watch. Good, David replied. Let them see what they gave up. Let them see what humanity can really do when we stop following their rules and trust our own instincts instead. The battle raged on, but its outcome was no longer in doubt. Humanity's counteroffensive had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The final battle took place in Earth's orbit, where it had all begun 30 days ago. The remaining Nexer ships fought desperately, but they were no match for the combined might of humanity's forces. David Miller watched from the ENS Defiant as Bladadancer suits moved like shooting stars against the black of space. Enemy fleet down to 20% strength. Linda Foster reported, her fingers flying over her console. They're trying to retreat, but Rachel's squads have cut off their escape route. The Alliance ships hung at the edge of the solar system, their presence a silent acknowledgement of humanity's achievement. They had come to witness the end of the battle they thought humans couldn't win. All Bladed Dancer units, report status, David called out. Rachel Hayes answered first. Alpha Squad, ready for final push. Beta Squad, in position, John Baker reported. Gamma Squad, awaiting orders, Sarah Wilson confirmed. On Earth below, Amy Chen's ground forces had finished securing the last enemy positions. The Nexer's ground invasion had failed completely, broken against the unexpected power of humanity's defenders. David stood from his command chair. This is it. All units, execute final attack pattern. Operation Sword's Edges go. The Bladadancer suits moved in perfect harmony, their neural links allowing them to fight as one while keeping their human creativity and instinct. They flowed around enemy fire like water, struck like lightning, and protected each other with unspoken coordination. Look at the enemy formation, Linda said excitedly. They're completely confused. Their computers can't predict our attack patterns. The Nexer flagship, massive and powerful, tried one last desperate move. It charged its main weapon, aiming at Earth. But Rachel's squad was ready. Not this time. Rachel's voice was calm over the comm. All units, show them what humanity can do. 20 Bladadancer suits linked their energy fields, creating something never seen before. A massive energy blade formed between them, glowing with power that made the Alliance ships back away even further. Now, Rachel commanded. The combined blade cut through the Nexer flagship like paper. The mighty ship split in two, its weapon dying before it could fire. Around it, the remaining enemy vessels began powering down, surrendering. All enemy ships have ceased fire, Linda announced. The control room of the Defiant erupted in cheers. David opened a channel to all Earth forces. This is Captain Miller. The Nexer fleet is defeated. Earth is safe. Well done, everyone. As the cheers continued, new signals appeared on their screens. The Alliance ships were transmitting messages. Not just them. Other alien races were sending communications too. Everyone had been watching. Sir, Linda said, reading the incoming messages, we're getting requests for diplomatic talks. Not just from the Alliance, from 12 different species. They all want to discuss partnerships. David smiled. Tell them Earth will consider their requests. But this time, we'll do it as equals, not as their students or servants. The Bladadancer suits regrouped around the Defiant, their armor scared but unbroken. Inside each suit, a human pilot had helped write a new chapter in their species' history. 1 month ago, the Alliance had abandoned Earth, thinking humanity was too aggressive, too unpredictable, too dangerous to trust with advanced technology. They had been right about one thing: humanity was unpredictable. But that had turned out to be their greatest strength. Captain, Rachel called from her suit, the Alliance flagship is requesting permission to dock. They'd want to talk. David looked at Linda, who nodded with a smile. Let them come, he said. They should see up close what they tried to prevent. Humanity hasn't just survived. We've shown the galaxy a whole new way to fight, to think, to adapt. As the Alliance ship approached, David thought about how much had changed in 30 days. Earth had faced extinction and emerged stronger. The Bladadancer suits had proven that human nature, their creativity, their adaptability, their determination, was not a weakness to be controlled, but a strength to be embraced. Send word to all Earth forces, he ordered. The war is over. Humanity stands tall, not in anyone's shadow, but in our own light. The stars seemed brighter now, no longer distant and threatening, but full of possibilities. Humanity had answered the call, and their response had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would they.